With bated breath as federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities face off on the enrollment of the Integrated Payment and Personal Information System, IPPIS. Let's see this background report put together by Abdul Malik Adiu, which addresses the issue.
I lay before this distinguished joint session of the National Assembly the 2020 budget.
On October 8, 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari, during the 2020 budget presentation at the National Assembly, ordered the stoppage of payment of salaries of civil servants who failed to register for the IPPIS by the end of October. This order took its full swing with a closed circuit on universities and the pronouncement by the Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, that university lecturers will be captured on the Integrated Payroll and Personal Information System beginning from November 25th through December 7th, 2019. This outstance of government to rid federal universities of corruption and to ensure transparency and accountability through the IPPIS seems to be generating a mixed grill of reaction, with some in compliance with the enrollment in some universities, while others are against, saying it negates the policy of university autonomy. The Academic Staff Union of Universities says, since 1992, the body has been clamoring to obtain autonomy for Nigerian universities, where they are detached from federal civil service, to enable universities to function effectively, such that they are in sole control of their affairs, including staff recruitment, financing, among others. Although a faction group of ASUU, known as Congress of University Academics, has directed its members to begin the enrollment for the IPPIS. With myriad of issues and controversies regarding ASUU and IPPIS, guest on Good Morning Nigeria will be taking a critical look at the situation and suggest way forward.
Many thanks, Abdul Malik Adio, for that background. We have joining us in the studios here in Abuja to discuss the issue in further detail, Mr. Olufeyin Olusegun. He is director of the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System in the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. Mr. Olusegun, pleasure to have you with us on the program.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. And also joining us in the Abuja studios, is a regular face on Good Morning Nigeria, public affairs analyst Jide Ojo. Jide?
Thanks for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Okay. From our Port Harcourt Network Center, we also have, as part of our conversation this morning, Professor Biodun Ogunyemi. Professor Biodun Ogunyemi is the National President, Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU. Professor Ogunyemi, pleasure to have you with us on the program this morning.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's begin the conversation with the director who is in charge of IPPIS in the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. There's a directive that has been issued from the Office of the Accountant General with regard to the enrollment of staff of universities, federal universities, to be enrolled on the IPPIS. It's supposed to last for 2 weeks up until December the 7th. What is the situation report?
Actually, I want to say good morning, Nigerians. And in carrying out the presidential directive, we all note that in 2019 budget delivery of Mr. President, it was part of his budget speech that all federal government employees, that is in NDAs, ministry, departments, and agencies, drawing their salary from consolidated revenue fund of the federal government should enroll on IPPIS. This was part of 2019 budget. So, and he reiterated it again this year in the delivery of 2020 budget. So, in compliance with this directive, the policy of the government, the Honorable Minister of Finance, in carrying out part of his assignment as the Minister in charge of federal government finance. So, and her right to spend money from that account. The Accountant General, as the Treasurer of the Federation, who is in charge of payment of all government expenditure. So has to carry out this assignment. As we are talking now, the assignment is ongoing on the field.
What is the situation report?
The situation report is that people were enrolling. Even before I came inside now, I have to attend to some inquiries from Wukari. So we're on WhatsApp to know the situation report at all times. So Lagos is ongoing. About the universities that I know of, so they are going, even in colleges of education, the enrollment is ongoing. Actually, whatever, we believe that at the end of the exercise, we'll be able to ascertain who has enrolled on the platform.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We will now be going to Port Harcourt, where Professor Biodun Ogunyemi, National President, Academic Staff Union of Universities, is joining us from Port Harcourt. Can you give us an insight into the controversy that has been raging now for months on the IPPIS enrollment? What is the situation on ground between ASUU and IPPIS for now?
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians. I'm happy the background report, stated clearly that all civil servants are to enroll in IPPIS. The first key question to ask is, are academics civil servants? And if IPPIS is meant for civil servants who are in MDAs, we are saying that universities are not part of MDAs, ministry, departments, and agencies. The argument is not about government pays all employees. It's about government should pay all employees through which routes. We know that government also pays workers in central bank. Government pays workers at NNPC, and they are not still covered by IPPIS. We are saying that we have a separate arrangement for employment, personnel, and finances of universities. And that has been established by law. The University Autonomy Law, which was gazetted in 2007, arising from University Miscellaneous Amendment Provision Act of 2003. So, if we go by that, we should know from the onset that we are not talking of universities that are part of government MDAs. Universities are supposed to be governed by their governing councils according to law. What we are saying is that we cannot be probating and reprobating. If something has been established by law, I even had my good friend, one of your anchor men there, saying that should we amend the law in order to accommodate IPPIS? That will amount to probating and reprobating. What we are saying is, let us respect the law. If government has not been following the route established for financing universities, we have to return to that. Like your background report stated, since 1992, we have had this understanding. We signed agreement with government. The agreement was translated into law. The law states clearly any memo being released by government that runs contrary to the provisions of the University Miscellaneous Act, to that extent of its inconsistency, will be null and void. So in this case, ASUU is saying that if we go the way of IPPIS, we will lose the gains we have made about autonomy. Like any other university in the world, universities are not governed directly by ministry. It means that we want to take Nigerian universities back to the core civil service, such that before they can even employ academics in needed areas, in critical areas, they have to get clearance from the ministry. And that is what is happening already. Vice chancellors now, we have to visit the office of the Accountant General in order to get clearance to employ staff in critical areas. And this does not come as quickly as we need. Even those who are already part of IPPIS, like the teaching hospitals, our colleagues have told us their experiences. You are newly enrolled for 3 months, no salary. You are there, your salaries are distorted, you are underpaid, we have scandalous tax regimes and so on and so forth. So these things are happening already, and we have documented the evidences. We have said that in place of IPPIS, ASUU is proposing, and we are already working on it. We have gone more than 30%, we are close to 40% on the platform that we are developing. And we are saying that this can serve the purpose with different levels of control up to the Office of the Accountant General. There are 3 layers of monitoring what goes on in the university in terms of finances, in terms of payroll, in terms of employment. There is the internal audit, there is the external audit, which is to be ordered by the Governing Council. And the third one is the station, which is to be ordered by the visitor to the university. So if we keep to this 3-layer filter system, we can actually track cases of corruption. And talking about corruption, ASUU has not been unrelenting. We have been unrelenting. We have not been unconcerned, rather. We have been persistent in bringing up cases of corruption. We have documented our suspected cases, and we have forwarded to the ministry. Nothing happened. So to now say by voting against IPPIS, we are condoning corruption, I think is cheap blackmail. That is where ASUU is, and ASUU is saying that the law on autonomy guarantees that councils should be allowed to do their work. Government should fund councils. Councils can do payroll and personnel. And they have been doing that. They were doing that in the past. They were sending teams to go and do on-the-spot check about employment, and they do head counts and so on and so forth. These are things that have been happening over time. We believe taking us to IPPIS will be reversing the gains of universities, and it will further bring down the global ranking of Nigerian universities. There is no university in the world where we say let staff be employed directly by the ministry and let them operate directly under the ministry, such that before they can get staff in critical areas, they have to get clearance from either the head of service or the Office of the Accountant General. It is antithetical. It is antithetical to the operations of the university system globally. Even in nearby Ghana, where they have something close to IPPIS, for their civil servants, universities were excluded. And we are still asking them, why are they insisting that it is IPPIS or not, when we have proposed alternatives?
All right, Professor Biodun Guyami, thank you very much there for your initial response. And indeed, the substance of what you have indicated now was also included in the paid advertisement that was published in some national newspapers earlier this week. Daily Trust, for instance, you had it there at page 36. The advert was signed by your good sir. There are a number of issues that you have raised, and happily the director of IPPIS in the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation is here with us in the studios to respond to that. And we have a number of questions we are going to also pose to you later on. But let's come back to our Abuja studios. Jidojo.
Well, my take on this is I think the two parties actually needs to do more brainstorming about what is the best practices to handle this. I, for one, have been very worried about the humongous corruption cases uncovered in many academic institutions. Just November 19th, at the ICPC conference held in conjunction with the Secretary to the Federation, the ICPC chairman, Professor, also an academic anyway, Professor Bolaji Owasanye, was revealing figures of humongous amount of money padded into personnel costs of many health and academic institutions. University of Ibadan, University of Nigeria, Nsukka, the one in Bayelsa, and amounted to about 12 billion was discovered. And this is when the entire IPPIS enrollment has not been done. Just imagine at the end of the day. I don't want to assume that these are just very flippant comments coming from the ICPC chairman. So, my own position would be, if ASUU has a platform through which this personnel ghost worker can be checkmated, and the federal government can have a look at it, as Professor Ogunleya said, Ogunyemi, if there are 3 layers of filter and the federal government can have a hands-on on what is going on, in terms of, because I know that there are certain peculiarities in academia. It's not like normal civil service. People are hired on short-term contract. There are emeritus professors who, even after retirement, are engaged on contracts and all of that. So, does IPPIS cover all of these peculiarities? If it does, I think then ASUU does not have a case. If it doesn't, can they work robustly and harmoniously together to find a robust system that will checkmate fraud? Because the whole essence of IPPIS is actually because of the snowballing personnel cost that does not have tandem with reality on ground. Every administration since 1999 have been discovering ghost workers. And I'm still surprised that in 2019, a lot of ghost workers are still being detected. And is it true also that some government institutions like CBN, like NNPC, like Professor Ogunyemi said, are exempted? On what ground were they exempted? And why insisting that ASUU must be on this system? So, my own will be, let's dialogue. We cannot afford another closure of universities. In the last decade, only God knows how many times academics have gone on strike. And everything should be done to avert another looming one. So, amicable resolution, because at the end of the day, dialogue will still be the only options left. I know there may have been cases instituted in courts, but we know the legal system in Nigeria. It takes a very long while. So, dialogue and more dialogue to find an amicable and midterm, middle way solution will be what I personally will advocate for in this situation.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Olufehinti, why did it take so long to bring ASUU on board?
Yeah, the IPPIS started on 3 folds. The first 7 ministries were brought on IPPIS in 2007. Then the second tier, we brought in the MDAs. Then the tertiary institutions and paramilitary and military, and fall into the stage 3, where we are now. And I know IPPIS have been having consultation with ASUU since 2012. And this is 2019. We had cause to have consultations with them, including the National University Commission. So most of the meetings were held there. And committee was set up to accommodate their peculiarities. I think I need to correct certain impression of the ASUU being the academic. So, and as they are academicians, federal government employees is inclusive of ASUU. And we said any government institutions that is drawing their salaries from consolidated revenue fund, which is the revenue fund, which is the revenue account of the federal government. In the first instance, are those people that have to come on board for now. And CBN is not drawing salary from the Consolidated Revenue Fund. So ASUU cannot be comparing themselves with CBN for now because CBN pays themselves within. But once you are through, because within 2 years, the government was able to save over 273 billion. In the past, personnel costs are remitted to MDAs. And if such thing had happened, no dime will come back to federal government to say, oh, this is the balance of the money left. By now, even as of today, ASUU, all the federal universities and colleges of education and polytechnics, money are being sent to them in bulk through GIVMIS by the Accountant General. But the government said, no, based on the gain, we have realized that to curb the ghost workers, you send money every time they keep coming, that the money was not enough. They kept demanding. So the government said, no, let us even know the number of employees you have. Instead of sending money in bulk to the institutions, the moment we know the number of employees you have, money will be credited to the account directly. The administration of the university still rests with the universities. The bursars are there to manage the accounts. And in the course of deliberation, we assure them 90 is on IPPIS. I could assure you for the past 2 years, we never had problem with them. The road safety, several organizations, if you manage your organization, the bursars are there to manage the account. But the numbers of employees will appear on the platform. And every time, you will not have cause to say, oh, money is not enough. You keep on requesting for money. How many employees do you have? So, ordinarily, they said, oh, our peculiarities. The government went out of their way to say, okay, let us sit down. We set up a 22 committee where ASUU, 8 of ASUU members participated in the committee. The committee report was submitted to the whole House on October 8, where the Vice Chancellor, the Registrar, the bursars, and the NUC and IPPIS OAGF representatives were present, where the report was delivered. Based on the delivery of the report, the NAT participated, the NASU participated, the SANU participated. At the general meeting of the House, after the demonstration of the peculiarities, where the system, we demonstrated how the system will accommodate the age, professor and reader at 70 years of age. The moment your date of birth is instituted, the system will tell you when you are likely to retire. As a professor, you are going to retire at 70. As reader, you are going to retire at 70. But as others, 65 years. So the system was demonstrated. But the beauty of it is that, which Nigerians will be happy to know, is that the number of universities where lecturers can now visit have been limited to only one. As against the numbers, we don't know. That you can visit any other university and they earn 50% of their salary in any of the universities they are visiting. Then, when they are on sabbatical is every 7th year. You go on sabbatical. They earn 100% of their salary. They will take 100% of their salary in their primary university, and where they are having the sabbatical, they will still take 100%. We told them that should be treated as allowance. So if you have cause to be visiting other institutions, the moment you have an IPPIS number, the system will indicate that, oh, this man is here and is visiting in the other university. So the system has limited it to one. So in some situations, the government will be able to conserve funds. ASUU is talking about funding universities. Once we are able to save as much money as possible, which the current system has confirmed that all this issue of goes, where money goes, so many, like what ICPC mentioned, you go to all these places, they are spending money out of personnel costs, doing what is not related to personnel costs. We know, and the government have decided to say, even if possible, they should be restricted. Every month now, the government is doing that to ensure, but the best way to check corruption and ghost worker is through system. And we expected the ASUU to be in the forefront whenever any system that will promote transparency and accountability, because most of the time they criticize the system and they complain about tax. I wonder, I have cause to mention it to them that tax law is meant to be complied with. And if they have any special letter exemptions from any state government to say, don't pay us tax, we will comply with it. Because pay is for the state government, it's not even for the federal government. I wonder how a citizen of Nigeria will be insisting that, oh, the tax is high, they are not going to pay tax. I said, well, if there's anything to support that, we will comply with it. We have had several deliberations and consultations. Up to the last point, they came out, they said, oh, well, it's illegal. If you said it's illegal, the federal government is paying money in bulk. The only difference now is that, oh, we are no longer going to be remitting money in bulk to any tertiary institutions. So the military are disciplined set of people. They have come on board.
Police.
The police are on board. All the paramilitary agencies are on board. So I'm happy to tell Nigerians that even the polytechnics academics that seem to join ASUU in the way they were going about, they have just completed the whole enrollment. The only two institutions, or the tertiary institution remaining, is the universities and the colleges of education, which, as I'm speaking currently, the enrollment is going on simultaneously nationwide in both the colleges of education and the universities.
Okay, well, Olufayintin Olusegun, thanks a lot. I remember we had you on Good Morning Nigeria sometime in the past, when the police got onto the IPPIS system and they had some issues which were clarified, and they haven't been back since with any complaints.
Yes, sir. Any system could have its challenges. As complaints is being made, we address it, because you see that is the key beauty of coming on board. When you come on board with all the necessary corporations, the enrollment will be seamless, all the information provided will be real. So in such situation, you have less complaint. But if you decide to keep key information away, then it means that when you come on board, those information, when you are being compelled to provide them, then we have to start rectifying. Even under the current situations, the issue of employment, the Accountant General does not employ people, do not give approval for employment. There are procedures. The university know that if they need to engage, they have a parley with the Office of Head of Service that have the authority to issue waivers. They have to comply. So then there should be evidence that budget, there is such thing is in the budget, which is by the budget office. If ASUU is talking about their legality, you now say, oh, does the law establishing ASUU supersede that of the constitutions that gave the management of government finances, which is being exercised by the Honorable Minister of Finance on behalf of the President of the nation? The money belongs to all Nigerians. And we hope that the ASUU will shield their sword and embrace what will save Nigerians a lot of billions of money, so that money can be used for other purposes.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Olufayintin Olusegun. By the way, ASUU is not established by law. ASUU is established under the law. Let's go over to our Port Harcourt Network studios and getting again Professor Biodun. Professor Biodun Ogunyemi, you've listened to the director of IPPIS, and he also raised a number of issues in contradistinction to what you have said earlier. What are your reactions?
Of three major issues. He has brought up this issue of clearance with head of civil service again. And the point I made earlier is, do we take academics as part of civil service? Are academics, Nigerian academics, part of the civil service? If we get that definition clearly sorted out, then we will know what we are engaging in this matter. Because that will also bring us to the issue of law. Well, you have said ASUU is not established by law. ASUU is established under the law. Well, ASUU is recognized by law. And that means that we can all engage ourselves on the basis of law. Now, to us, academics are not part of civil service. And it is an abnormal. It's an anomaly for any vice chancellor to be seeking approval from the head of civil service to employ staff in his or her university. What is the place of the governing council? The governing council is the organ recognized by law. So we are setting the matter of law aside. Yes, constitution. Constitution exists side by side with other laws. It is only where there is contradiction that constitution can be taken as supreme. And we don't see any contradiction here because the pathways have been clearly defined. Civil servants are civil servants. Academics are university workers or employees. So I will appeal to the director of IPPIS not to mix issues. The other one I want to bring up along this line is where else in the world, I know he came from Washington, is an employee of World Bank, where else in other parts of the world is this kind of imposition they are lording over Nigerian university system being practiced? It should tell us other countries in the world where academics database or databases are brought together and handed over to some consultants who can do what they like with the databases. Nigerians should please understand our own perspective. It is in the interest of this country to get ourselves free from control and imposition from those who work for international financial agencies. We have seen the effect of some of these policies that are imposed on us since the days of the structural adjustment program. We don't trust even the data they want to collect, and to what extent, to what end they will be put to use. So we believe that Nigerian academics should not surrender their biometrics, and the biometrics will be harvested by those we don't know for whatever reasons. We have brought up these instances of where even former Accountant General of the Federation admitted that their website was hacked into. Nigerian academics are about the most sensitive group of workers you can see in the country. Their databases are very, very important to us. And that is why we have said this centralized control, we can come up with an alternative. The third issue I want to bring up is the issue about committee. Yes, a committee was set up. We have been on this issue of committee since 2013, when the former director of IPPIS suggested that we should come together and work out a platform that will be agreeable. And what our proposal then, and still now, has been that we can have an alternative to IPPIS. When they didn't agree with us on how to go about it, because after 2014, when we wrote to them that we have set up, we have identified those who will work for the generation of that platform, we didn't hear from them until this last year or thereabout that they started engaging us again. So if they said they've been talking to us for some time, there was a break in between. And what we said was we should be working towards an alternative platform to IPPIS, which will be domesticated in individual campuses. You capture people's data. They are resident with the universities. You don't have to develop a platform that will require that academics will have to travel to Abuja to go and clear any problem with their payment system. And that is what we have seen. We have cited the example of our colleagues in the teaching hospital. To what extent have they addressed that problem? Apart from the sensitivity of the data they are trying to collect. We have told our members, well, they said some are betraying us, some are going into it. Those who did it, those who went into it in the teaching hospital, they are already regretting it. They are already regretting it. Because we know, at the end of the day, the fears we have raised, they will manifest. They will manifest, and it is not going to work in the best interest of Nigerian university system and Nigerians. Finally, I want to bring out this point about the implications of IPPIS for the Nigerian university system, and particularly the Nigerian university system in global ranking. Well, he said, well, the data will still reside, the information will be generated from the universities. How long does it take to process those information at the center? When people have problems and they went to Abuja, how long did it take to address their problems? I'm talking of those who are in the teaching hospitals and the rest of them. We are saying that those who will come, particularly our colleagues in the diaspora, who may want to come to assist our universities for as short as 3 months or as long as 1 year, if it takes you 3 months to sort out their payment, it means that those who have come for 3 months or less, they will not be paid. And that means that it will discourage others from coming to assist our system. So what we have been saying, therefore, is that Nigerian academics should not be reared in isolation. We are part of a global academic community. Nigerians should not see Nigerian university staff or academics particularly as just employees of federal government. Employees of federal government. And because of that, everything the federal government proposes must be taken hook, line, and sinker. Each time we criticize any policy, we come up with alternatives. And in this matter, we have proposed an alternative, and we are working on the alternative. We have discussed some aspect of this alternative with our contacts at the National Assembly, and we think that if, like it was proposed by a contributor from your Abuja station, if we are given the platform, we are ready to show them that we have an alternative that will address the issue of corruption. ASUU has zero tolerance for corruption. Anybody that knows our record will attest to the fact that we have never concealed information about padding or overstaffing in the university system. We abhor it and will continue to resist any vice chancellor manipulating the system for personal gain. But let the law be respected until the law is changed. And to change the law, we mean we are probating and reprobating, which is not in the best interest of the system. Thank you.
Professor Abiodun Ogunyemi, I'm still staying with you. You know, watchers of the academics feel that the resistance is because there's so much corruption in the universities, and that is what government is trying to work on. So why are you resisting this IP? I am on IPPIS, NTA is on IPPIS, and we've been on it, I think, since 2012. You've been working, you say, on a policy. You've worked 40% from 2012 to 2019. So how far do you think you will go before the end of your own discussion with IPPIS?
Please, I didn't say that we've been working on that platform since 2012. I said we proposed to them that we should work together to develop that alternative platform. But when we didn't hear from them for about 4 years, we thought they had shelved the idea. Until they came back to the idea, we thought our explanations were convincing. Our explanations about autonomy, our explanation about distortion that the system would bring into the university system. So we thought they were convinced until they came back again to say, yes, now we have to capture you at all costs. So it was when this new debate came, even when they set up this joint committee, the last one that he referred to, sometimes this year, our members that went there were saying that ASUU is proposing that let us work together and have this alternative platform. Because centralizing our payroll system will mean you are undermining the autonomy of the universities. And the autonomy of the universities arises from the fact of the peculiarities of the universities. And that is the global practice. When people talk about best global practices or best policies across the globe, they do not allow those ideation to run across, to run through. we are in the university system, and we know that university system worldwide, they are allowed to operate based on support that comes through other organs of the universities or even organs outside the universities, but not directly controlled by Ministry of Finance or Head of Civil Service. That is what we are talking about. Nigerians should see the peculiarities of Nigerian universities, because those peculiarities gave rise to the autonomy that we are talking about.
Okay, Professor Biodun Ogunyemi, thanks a lot. We want to come back to our guests in the Abuja studios, but just one point, because it's not been clarified. Professor Ogunyemi, you keep saying that university lecturers are not civil servants. I don't think the recognition is that university lecturers are civil servants, gentlemen. I'm sure either your good self or some of your colleagues who are familiar with aspects of labor law will recognize that universities established by Act create the fact that your appointments have statutory flavor. And there are a number of decided cases to that effect. But that statute also ties you to the government, in which case you belong to the wider public service, such as the military, paramilitary, and of course the police, who are also on the IPPIS. One other issue that we'll come back to you on relates to the point that the director of IPPIS made here, namely that the bursary departments of the various universities are not being sidelined in their functions, that it is the information of the personnel in the employment of the universities, for instance, federal universities, that should be on IPPIS. So why the continuing resistance? I want to come back to Jide Ojo in our studios. You listen to what Professor Nguyemi said, the peculiarities that is drawn up. It's also raised the issue about the security of the data that might be mined from the IPPIS, plus other aspects of their developing an alternative platform, which it says is 30–40% completed.
Well, I've listened to both parties with rapt attention, and I think one, there are genuine concerns from ASUU, which is about expeditious resolution of issues that may arise. Because Professor Ogunyemi kept referring to those who have already been there, the issues are not promptly redressed or addressed, and they are regretting it. I don't know how we can have a seamless exercise where even when there are issues, these are promptly addressed. And must they come to Abuja to redress some of these things? Because we know academics are generally conservative people. And also that this IPPIS is taking some of their lucrative businesses, permit me to use that way. Because I picked something from what the director said. Some of them are teaching in more than one schools. They go on sabbatical, they get full salary from where they are teaching, and they also get another salary from where they are doing their sabbatical, 100%. And IPPIS is likely to shake the table and take some of these so-called privileges or, additional income away from them. So the concerns are genuine, even if it's not very blatantly said, that this may cut down considerably on their ability to get huge remunerations from their expertise that may be, because I know quite a number of academics who are also in NGO as consultants, and they do that and get very good pay. But I still come back to it, and the other issue about safety and security of data cannot be overemphasized. We know even Pentagon in US has its website hacked into. So what is the security of the data of these people? If there have been attempts in the past to hack into the database of Office of Accountant General of the Federation, what are the safety and security that have been built into that. Because these concerns, yes, it may look like ASUU is unduly resistant, but if they work across board, because what I see happening now is that even in the academia, the non-academic staff are on this payroll, and it's only the academics that seems very resistant because of maybe feelers they've gotten from their colleagues who have voluntarily agreed to be on this platform. So if these concerns can be looked into, and I don't know whether government will have a moratorium, I don't know, that may not be an ideal word to use, or a kind of maybe 3 months or 6 months for ASUU to come up with its own design. Then they jointly look at it, compare it to what the IPPIS currently has offered, and see whether there is they can marry the two together. Because we cannot just say forcefully you must be on this if it's going to affect our global ranking, if it's going to discourage a lot of academics from diaspora from coming to help our systems, if it's going to be penny wise, pounds foolish. So these concerns I will implore have to be looked into. Are there genuine concerns? Can we resolve that? Many of the concerns that because even what I read as at yesterday was that, for instance, in University of Abuja, those who want to even be on the exercise seems to take a very long while. It's a 3-layer exercise. The biometric aspect of it is unduly delayed, and people kind of are very impatient. So if it means getting more personnel for those who are willing and ready, and for the exercise, if it's about ironing more hands, if it's about timeous resolution of issues, because there are bound to be issues for a system that is new. So if this can be looked into, promptly addressed to the satisfaction of both parties, I think we'll get somewhere.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, just correct something.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Oju. I want to correct one impression. I'm not from Washington. I'm truly Nigeria. A school here. I did everything I need to do here. And I want to say something precisely, that our consultants, they are all Nigerians. In all our deliberations, there is no single foreigner. This thing was designed by Nigerians, and we've been using it. And even the current one they are talking about, I know this issue of safety of their data came up in one of our meetings, early meetings. I requested that professor, anybody like now, Professor Biodun Ogunyemi, Google his name now. You see all his particulars. You have biometrics. If you have international passport, we have BVN. So what is so special about this thing? The content, it is when the federal government approved the consultant, they are purely Nigerians. And it's one of the products of all these universities. So the other aspect I want to say is this. The tertiary, the teaching hospitals, what Professor Ogunyemi was saying is not right. Because the honorary consultants came pleading when hospitals are being taken in. They are lecturers in the universities. They came pleading with their union to say we should bring them on board. And they were brought on board. The new executives of the union, they came to even appreciate, to thank the Office of Secretary General for bringing them on board. You are aware that resident doctors went on strike, that if they are not placed on IPPIS, if you notice, that has brought a little respite in the health industry. So the major challenge is this. If you follow the due process, in the course of your engagement, you intimate us and say, oh, we are engaging new staff. As they are being documented, their biometrics are being taken. There will be challenge. Seamlessly, they will get salary as they have been. But when you engage them, they are already working. You are coming up as, oh, this one I've been working for the past 3 months. In the course of documentation, invite us and say, oh, please, let us have their biometrics side by side as they are being documented. So there will be less challenges. So whatever challenges we have, it is addressed. You don't need to come to Abuja. We created desk officers like their bosses. I told you of recent that 90, and even road safety and several other MDAs that have taken their IPPIS seriously, because the challenge is that the moment no loose fund is coming up again, people are no longer interested in that area. But the moment you know that payment of salary to your staff is germane, is the key thing. So the desk officer will be the one that will have interface. They come to Abuja to defend their budget. They come to Abuja to get all those things. They don't need to come for their salary.
Okay, well, Mr. Olusegun, there's one point that Professor Ogunyemi raised, and that has to do with the power to hire. And it was taking that from one of your explanations. Yes, does the power to hire now reside in the office of the head of service of the Federation, or with the governing council of the respective universities as provided for in the acts establishing the respective universities?
The current, the issue of administration of the university is still read with the governing council. You know, there's something we call planning. In the course of planning, you know, in 2020, these are the number of staff you are likely to hire. So based on that, you know, there are certain procedures. Probably you feel that, oh, this thing, you want to ascertain that in compliance with what you have budgeted, submitted. Projected, yes. Then the ODD, we call this Organization and Design Department Office, all of them, both the polytechnics, colleges of education, is not now because they are coming on IPPIS. That have been their procedure. Liaising with the governing council, these are the number of people we want to employ. You see, what ASUU, what they don't really know is that when you bring in a contract staff or personnel cost, you are saying Nigeria should be paying pension. Pension are paid to people that are full-time staff. Okay. Contract staff are taken care of under a non-regular line, like the corpers, like the IT students. So if you hire a foreigner 3 months, your recurrent will take care of that. And these are things that we told them. So they talked about outsourcing. Outsourcing is a contract. You are not supposed to pay contract under a personnel cost. Okay. Because the moment you do that, the government is going to be paying pension on people that are not supposed to be paying pension on.
That's contributory
pension, because the federal government will contribute 7.5%, which is now 10% and 8% by the individual. So contract staff are not supposed to be paid pension.
Okay, thank you, Olusegun and Professor Ogunyemi and Jide Ojo. We have a number of tweets that have also come in from our viewers, and of course there are a number of other issues we would like the ASUU National President to respond to based on the explanations provided by our guests in the studios, but we'll take a short break now.
Meet the dreamer. Meet the stylish. Meet the bold. Meet the inquisitive. Meet the warrior. Meet the master. Meet the realist. The challenge is coming. Unity Challenge. Power, development, and peace. Coming soon.
This Saturday on the Premier League, Chelsea take on West Ham United at Stamford Bridge.